So, Jeremiah Lay comes on for the second time. We cover a lot in MMA, and I'm excited for you to watch. If you're ready, we were already ready. Let's go.
We've got the red light, rather, which says that we are recording today. We are bringing back for the second time my buddy Jeremiah, coming all the way from Ohio. How's it going today, man?
It's good. Thank you for the very generous intro.
Yeah. How's the weather where you're at?
It's actually looking better. It's a little rainy, but the temperature's not sub-zero anymore, so that's good.
Yeah, it's cold in Ohio. I just found these guys on YouTube recently that live in a small town outside of Columbus. I had it earlier, but anyway, Lancaster, and they're always talking about how cold it is there, and they all got these big coats on and scarves and gloves, and I was like, man, how cold is it in Ohio?
It gets pretty cold, man. We're pretty far north. I mean, Canada is right above us. So
you're real cold.
It's not so, like, it doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't get to me as much, but I grew up here. My spouse, she's from California and New Mexico, so it was definitely a shock to her system. So.
Oh, wow. What part of New Mexico?
Albuquerque. I met her while I was living there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I years ago, you and I go back a long time from social media days, but I lived in Santa Fe for about 2 years. What about a year? Yeah. So I used to tell you all the time, like, hey, man, eat this place for me and eat that place for me. Just Albuquerque. If there's one positive thing about Albuquerque, it's food.
Oh, definitely. The food is amazing.
The city itself, not so amazing, but the food is awesome.
You are correct, sir.
So you're a jiu-jitsu practitioner. How is this COVID treating you, keeping you out from choking people?
I'm losing my mind, dude. I'm losing my mind. It's terrible. I want to roll. And I keep thinking about, because I have keys to the school that I teach at, and I'm like, maybe I could just get like a open mat going, or just a private session with a couple other dudes, and it's probably a bad idea. Don't do that. But
just keep like 8 or 9 of them in there, and then you're not breaking social distancing rules. Isn't that right?
Yeah, we'll just live there.
Yeah. How old is your oldest son?
I have 2 13-year-olds. They're not twins. They're stepbrothers, but they're both 13. So.
Yeah, 13's old enough to choke, bud.
Yeah, one of them had his first wrestling season this past year, so I mean, I could wrestle him.
Yeah, is he into the submissions at all, or?
He doesn't know really any jiu-jitsu. He did jiu-jitsu for 1 year when he was little, and then he started wrestling this last year. But I mean, the boy's already got like 4 inches of height on me. So I mean, size-wise at least, we're similarly built. I'm a little thicker than him, you know. Got a few extra pounds, but
you gotta start taking him down now. Start choking him now. Start holding him up now, because once that boy finishes through puberty, you might be the smallest guy.
Story of my life, man. I'm always the smallest guy.
Hey, man, that's when people count you out, though, right? Shoot, man. So, hey, you've been following MMA lately on Twitter? I know that we don't have any MMA to follow, but just people trying to stay relevant, like Dillon Danis.
Dude, I try to follow on. I don't have Twitter anymore. I have Instagram, though, and I try to follow as much as I can on there. I follow a few of the fighters. One of my favorite ones is Mike Perry, because he's so bored that he's just calling out everybody. He called out Darren Till.
Knocked that fool out at a nightclub.
I did see that. That guy didn't know that was Mike Perry. Like, what are you doing, dude? The guy's got a tattoo on his forehead.
Hey, dude, and like you, his hands are tatted. You don't fight a guy with hand tattoos. Like, you're done right there. You know, like, right there, dude. Ugh.
Yeah, I feel like the individual.
Man? It's these big dudes.
Yeah.
That have size on them, height on them, and they look at him and they think he's just going to be a little punk.
You got to look at the years, man. Look at the years.
The very first time I went to Ohio, I was eating in a restaurant. Now, I was probably 23 is a realistic age. So I was 2 years outside of training jiu-jitsu all the time. So I trained Team Noguera in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Wow.
I trained there, and then we went to Triton. From Triton, because it closed, went to Triton. Then I stopped driving to Tulsa, and I went to a guy here in Tahlequah. His name was, he had a weird name, Anoki. Anyways, we trained down here. It was actually at a Jeet Kune Do place. So I was like 2 years from that, right? I walk into this restaurant in Iowa, and I look around, and everyone my age, so early 20s, had these like gnarled ears, man. Both ears were gnarled, and I was like, oh, I'm the sissiest guy in this restaurant. Like, everybody in here would beat me up if there's any kind of physical altercation. I ate like this, like prison style, like head to myself. People don't realize the base that wrestling has, but yeah, man, Mike Perry. I wonder if he'll get in any trouble for that. I mean, he stroked that dude.
He slept that guy real quick. But I mean, it would depend on the context. Like the video that I saw was only like 30 seconds long, so who knows what that guy had done to him all night, you know?
Man, there's that old saying, don't talk shit, you won't get hit, right? I mean, You're right. We don't know the context. So, yeah, what a bad situation for that guy. But it also reminded me of, like, do we blame it a little bit on CTE? Do we just kind of blame it on him always being a wild man and we didn't realize it? But look at BJ Penn and his street fights that he's been in the last year.
Yeah. BJ's – I think BJ is partially trying to hold on to something. Like, I feel like I read a statement from him where he said, if I could get anything other than a fight going, I would gladly do it. And it's like, well, you have a name, BJ. All you got to do is open a school and people will show up. Like, it wouldn't be hard.
For sure. What is he? The fastest black? What is it? He's the first American to get his black belt in 3 years.
Yeah.
Did Lloyd Irvin do it faster than him?
I couldn't tell you. I just know they call BJ the Prodigy, and he's like a two division champion in the UFC. So like, he's a legend.
Other organizations and fought Lyoto Machida at light heavyweight.
Yeah, BJ would fight anybody.
Jeez, stop doing it on the street though. That's my only advice.
Yeah.
Just quit. Just knock that off, man.
Well, BJ's he's what, like 40, 41
every
or
bit
something
of
like
it. Every bit of it.
It's time to lay it down, dude. Hang him up.
You're right. He could open up a jiu-jitsu school in LA, probably even Hawaii somewhere. Well, name a big city in Hawaii. He could probably open a jiu-jitsu school, use the name BJ Penn, and never show up.
Yeah. Just collect money.
Oh, what a bummer, man.
And that have to prove, BJ, like, all time. And no one can argue that, you know? Like, it's a fact. You have nothing else to prove. You've done it all, man.
Remember his first fight against George St. Pierre, the first time they met up?
Yeah. I just watched that the other day, actually. I watched that one, and then I watched, who was it, Sean Shirk that he hit with that flying knee?
Oh, yeah.
Shirk was a monster, dude. A lot of people forget about Sean Shirk, but he was a tank. He was a freak.
The reason people forget about him, where is he today?
Yeah, that's true. I couldn't tell you.
He's got a place. He should go into the UFC Hall of Fame. I mean, in his prime, he was really unstoppable. Until BJ Penn, he was really unstoppable. He was incredibly talented, built like a shark. You remember that?
Yep. Sean the Shark Shirk. That's what they called him.
Yeah.
He was a freak, dude. He was a champion, and it's like, I was watching a video on the like continuity of the UFC lightweight title or something like that, because somebody wanted to make a video with an excuse to put Conor McGregor in there, and they were talking about champions that are like time has forgotten or whatever, and people forget that like Shirk was a champ. Couture won the belt like 3 times. It's like, It wasn't that long ago.
Couture took the belt from Tim Sylvia. Remember that?
Yeah. Sylvia was a
came
freak
out with
with
that
him.
wild right hand like this and connected.
Yeah.
They come out, they touch gloves, they circle, and then Couture's head goes here, and he throws, and it lands, and it puts Silva on his butt, and he gets up and he hesitates for a minute, like, I just knocked him down. Then he goes in after him. But I'll never forget, like, he wasn't even looking at his punch. Like, head up.
Yeah.
Then you can throw. His head went from here, boom. I mean, he was completely
ducking
turned away from
overhand.
it.
What's interesting is that Khabib did the same thing when he set McGregor down.
Yeah, they were looking. Their eyes go from here to here.
Yeah.
I guess they're throwing everything they got. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. He floored McGregor. Well, you can see the same reaction. You can see the same reaction on Khabib's face as Couture had when he put down Sylvia. It was like, oh, shit, that worked. Yep. And then Khabib, of course, mauled him. But yeah. You know, the Khabib talk, we're talking about former people in the UFC who left their mark on the sport. But this guy's still relevant today. People talk about him today. But GSP, let me ask you right now, being a wrestler, a high school wrestler, all your years in wrestling, your family's into it. Now the lineage passing down to your children. George St. Pierre versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. Who wins?
Khabib.
Really?
100% Khabib. So the reason I say that is, do you remember Johnny Hendricks?
Yeah.
Johnny Big Rig Hendricks, good wrestler, had a really strong left hand, but he fought GSP, and he won that fight. Granted, he was robbed by the judges. I watched the fight in Vegas. It wasn't close. Johnny Hendricks beat up GSP for 5 rounds, and GSP couldn't take him down. Now, Khabib is a whole nother animal. Like, those Dagestani guys, like, that's their whole life. It's not, I'm going to use wrestling to, make some money, go into college, and maybe be a fighter at some point. No, that's just what they do. Like, they all do that. And Khabib is a monster. He's a monster. I just don't see GSP being able to take Khabib down and hold him down. Like, a grappling exchange between those two, I'm taking Khabib.
You got it. Dang. All right. Well, you hear it here, man. I've got to be nostalgic. I have to. And I have to say that I would give the nod to GSP, but it's not based in reality. It's based on he's a hero in the sport, right?
Definitely is.
It's a
GSP's a legend. Now, I'll say this. One caveat to that whole thing is GSP has the benefit of training with the Danaher Death Squad. So that's a wild card. He knows some things. John Danaher's a genius. So it might, who knows, And I can't say for sure, but I would. Yeah, always has a rash guard. He'd be at his wedding still wearing a rash guard.
You're right, though, man. Those guys are crafty, dude. And George St. Pierre is just a pure athlete. Athleticism, he's way more athletic than Khabib. But like you said, man, Khabib was 3 years old wrestling a bear. We have video footage of it. So
it's hard to, even if you are more athletic, it's hard to beat someone at something they've done their entire life.
Yeah. And dude, no one has a grip, like squeeze grip, or even really grip, like the Gable grip. No one's got a grip like a wrestler. If they grab a hold of you, they got you. Like, if you get a good grip on someone, they're not getting away from you. I mean,
we're talking about a sport that's based entirely on control. Like, you don't finish a fight in wrestling. You're going the 6 minutes unless you get stuck, pinned or whatever. But when the whole sport is like predicated on your ability to hold on to somebody, that grip kind of becomes super important. And I think that's probably why. Because it's like, hold on for dear life no matter what.
For sure. You're talking about Johnny Big Rig. His brother is actually a police officer here in Tahlequah, where I live in Oklahoma. His mom and dad live here in Tahlequah, and his mom was a Tahlequah high school teacher. So Johnny Hendricks is hometown hero here. But I saw Johnny in December, right after Christmas, at the gas station that's just right here by my house.
Yeah.
I opened the door for him. And, most people, we kind of know Johnny Hendricks here. So he's not just a huge slip, but I opened the door for him and he kind of looks at me. But I'm like, I'm looking at him, but I'm not being weird. And he looks at me and I was like, what's up, man? And he's like, hey. But then he came in and like shopped and then he held the door for my wife. It's just a normal dude. Like that's pretty much how people treat him here. And then he took off in a super nice Tahoe with his family, his wife and kids. Yeah. And, but yeah, so we see him from time to time. He'll be at Walmart here in Tahlequah, but he's thick.
Yeah.
Now that he's not competing anymore, he's thick. His brother's real thick too, though. His brother's kind of a big boy too. I used to work out with his brother. I know his brother better than him. Yeah, so they're good dudes. But yeah, I agree with you, man. I think Johnny won that fight for sure.
Oh.
He got super robbed. He looked like he went to practice, and GSP looked like he was in a car crash.
Yeah, I remember the post-fight presser. GSP was fucked up, dude. I'd never seen anybody just kind of work GSP over like that. You always see GSP in control of every situation, and then here comes Big Rig, just fucking country boy with a big left hand.
I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm gonna pose a question to you. This was pre-USADA. We saw the best Johnny Hendricks pre-USADA.
Yes.
What did we see what did you see after USADA?
I think you saw a couple things. So if USADA came in, granted, we don't know what Johnny was using. Nobody knows except for Johnny. But clearly something in his, I'll call it supplements, changed. And then you also saw, like, when Johnny won the belt, he was 34?
Yeah.
Or something like that. So he was older already. But then you also saw some things like a revitalized Robbie Lawler coming out of the woodwork to just fucking wreck everybody that was in front of him for a good 2-3 years. And that was a point where the division was highly competitive. Like, when GSP left, it created like a power vacuum. And people just got this new, like, second wind or something. Because there were some killers. Rory McDonald was in there. Robbie Lawler. You had Johnny Hendricks still around, but you had Tyron Woodley coming up. Guys like that. And it's like, I think, if anything, outside of the loss of whatever substances Johnny may have been using, is you saw a whole lot of pressure from Father Time and then the other fighters in the division. So I think it was all just a perfect storm that kind of brought Johnny down.
It might have not been a illegal substance. It could have just been Father Time and the division was deep.
Yeah, but I would go ahead. I would be confident in saying that Johnny was probably using something. I think everybody probably was at that point.
Sure. I mean, it was the Wild West, right? I mean,
yeah.
Bob is notorious for saying it's the Wild West, Yeah. Everybody was on it. And it brings back the debate of, you even go to a prime Fedor Emelianenko. Now, granted, he wasn't Shred City, but he was invincible. And it was pride. They begged you to take steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rogan has on the podcast a couple people that used to fight in the in Pride, and they said, or Eddie Bravo had an opportunity to fight, and they told him in there, like, they kept saying, like, hey, bud, we're not going to drug test you. You've got this. We're not going to do it.
I'm in silence. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. He was saying, like, they pretty much push you to do it. They want you to do it. And that's what I think is crazy. If you're telling me I'm not going to test you, and then you put it in my contract, you're not going to test me, well, of course I'm going to do it. I feel like you want me to at that point. Uh-oh.
My 5-year-old is joining us.
All right.
Yeah, well, if you look at organizations like Pride and Ryzen and all those, and the Japanese organization specifically, like, they encouraged, even almost mandated that you use something, because
got a little samurai right there.
Yeah, they wanted those big crazy fights. They wanted the most jacked fighters. They wanted the most spectacular finishes, all that stuff. Hey,
Steroids will do that to you. They'll get like, do you remember Bigfoot Silva versus Mark Hunt when Silva was juiced to the gills?
Yeah.
You got a clean Mark Hunt and you had a steroided up Bigfoot, and Mark Hunt hit him with the house, let alone the kitchen sink, and never put him away. You remember that fight? And then he wanted to sue the UFC because they put him in there with a juiced up. Yeah, I mean, that's when Mark
Hunt did the same thing with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. When he fought Mark Hunt.
Yeah, because Brock was exempt from USADA testing. Steroids are a weird thing, man. Like, I'm like pro and anti-steroid at the same time because the problem I have is that people are all doing them, right? But everybody lies about it and they're like, I'm clean. And then it's obvious that you're not clean.
Sure.
Just don't lie about it, I guess. I guess that's the only issue.
No, I like that idea too. But I never understood. I remember right before you and I did our first show here on YouTube where we talked, but a podcast that you did on your podcast, The Handsome Savage. If people want to tune in, I get it on iTunes. I don't know where else it's posted, but that's where I get it. So you went on a rant about a rival high school that you used to wrestle against. And that rival high school, their kids were juicing up, right?
Yeah.
And when I first started listening to it, I thought, all right, Jeremiah, like, what's the big deal, bro? Put it in baseball. Like, I don't care if you're juiced up. And then I heard you talking about it and the fairness, like where you're like, I'm a guy who's trying to eat right and I'm starving myself and I'm dehydrated and I come into this, high school wrestling match, which is important in high school.
Yeah.
You're going into that depleted, and this guy has something up his sleeve that you're not doing. He's got that out of it. And that's whenever I realized, like, it's one of your podcasts. I mean, it was probably back in October of 2019, one of your podcasts that you were talking about it, because I remember it. But you were painting the picture of it's truly not fair, especially with kids.
It's not. It's definitely not.
Yeah.
I think it's like, granted, everybody has the right to get their own, to create whatever advantage they can in a competition, right? But if the competition is set up in the confines of a certain set of rules, and one of those rules is, hey, we're not going to do this substance or X, Y, Z, then everybody should be doing that. It's something I can't wrap my head around. If you're in a competition and you can't abide by the rules, then you need to go find another competition where the rule set suits you better. Because it's just someone that you can, with combat sports at least, you can hurt somebody.
For sure. Not Mark Hunt, but Bigfoot Silva could have never taken that punishment not being on steroids from Mark Hunt. I mean, Mark Hunt was killing him in the ring, essentially, and he kept pushing for and was fighting back. Not only was he wasn't like the Korean Zombie and just standing there and landing lucky. He was just eating it, dude, and coming back into the fight. And it was incredible to watch, but then you find out, and you're like, ugh. But like you said, if you don't like the rule set, you don't like that the UFC has USADA, do what Vitor Belfort did. Have you seen him lately?
Yeah.
One, tatted up. Did you see the recent picture of him?
No, I didn't see that.
He looks like you. He has no skin color left here. It's just ink. Like, and he's jacked to the when we get up here, I'm going to send it to you. He is jacked to the gills again.
Well, good for Vitor. He was always better when he was on something.
He's on something.
Yeah.
But he got tatted. Like, I think he had a couple tattoos, but he's full sleeved out now, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it looked kind of cool, to be honest. But so I'll send that to you. I'll let you see it. But yeah, his body will freak you out, dude. His body looks 25 years old.
Jeez.
So, and he's got all that fight. I mean, last time he was on steroids, he kicked Michael Bisping's eye out.
Yeah, I remember that. Ooh.
So, let's say, man, the only person scarier than a steroided up or testosterone up Vitor Belfort was Uberine. Remember him?
Where he was eating horse meat.
Yeah, all the horse meat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about something unfair. It's about like steroids, unfair. What do you think about professional mixed martial artists calling out journalists? Dillon Danis is insane right now.
So I would attach a lot of words to Dillon Danis, but not professional. The guy's such a tool, man.
But hey, his grappling is undeniable, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from the guy. He's clearly a very skilled grappler, but like personality-wise, he's a tool.
Let me ask you, is he world class though?
I mean, he's competitive on the international circuit. He's not. He's clearly one of. If you talk about the spectrum of grapplers worldwide, he's at the upper end of that for sure.
Oh, is he really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's real good, but he's not like
Gordon Ryan.
No, he's not. He's not a Gordon Ryan. He's not a Marcelo Garcia. He's not that. He's not a god tier grappler. He's definitely very talented.
You think he's better than the Diaz boys?
Now,
Not MMA, just grappling.
Just grappling wise, see that's tricky because I don't know that there's a whole lot of footage of Nick or Nate just grappling. Like, I only really know of them full on fighting people. So he might be better than Nick and Nate. But I know that fight wise, he'll probably get slapped if he tries to fight either one of them.
Bad. His stand-up wouldn't hold up. Let me ask you, this is a pretty good, I think it'd be an interesting matchup. I'm a fan of grappling, though. So years ago, literally almost 20 years ago, I rolled jiu-jitsu, and I wrestled before that. So wrestling, jiu-jitsu, Ryan Hall versus Dillon Danis.
I'm going to take Ryan Hall.
Ryan's
a little older, but Ryan is like extremely experienced. He has, I think, like 100 and some victories by triangle in grappling competitions. And then everybody saw him on The Ultimate Fighter, and he called him the leg lock guy. But the majority of his wins are by triangle, and he's super creative. Ryan Hall's pretty tough. Plus, he has the added experience of being in the cage more than Dillon Danis. But who knows? Every fight's a toss-up.
It's incredible. I'd like to see that matchup, though, because Danis is a wizard on the ground. Ryan Hall, we clearly know. I think Hall has better stand-up, even though I think both of their weak points are stand-up, which leads me into the last question here for you, and then we'll move on to the last topic, and I will let you go. But Ryan Hall versus the Paul brothers. You're from Ohio. You better be riding hard. It's ride or die with the Paul brothers for you.
Ryan Hall fighting the Paul brothers?
I mean Dillon Danis. I'm sorry, Dillon Danis.
Is this a mixed martial arts competition?
Well, they wanted to box.
See, I don't know anything about Dillon Danis' boxing, but
I've seen his striking, and it's not great.
I mean, which one of the Paul brothers has like got 3 or 4 professional fights under his belt or something like that? So,
yeah, and they're both huge.
Yeah, they're not small guys. They're definitely athletic individuals. I mean, if it's boxing, then you got to go with the boxer. I mean,
I think so too.
We've seen it time and time again where when you take one athlete out of his skill set and try to make him compete in somebody else's arena, like I said before with Khabib, it's hard to beat somebody at something they've been doing their whole life. And when you talk about these kind of competitions, experience is king.
For sure. Did you see the footage of, I never get him right, the older brother, Logan Paul? Did you see his video footage of training with Paulo Costa?
I didn't, but Paulo Costa's a terrifying man.
You didn't see it?
No. Paulo Costa's terrifying, though.
So, striking, he got ripped up.
I'm
Grappling?
sure.
Grappling? Oh. Logan Paul looked incredible, but then it came out that Logan Paul was a 4-time state or national wrestling champion in high school in the state of Ohio.
Really?
Did you know that?
I did not know that.
So that's going to be our next conversation for the next time. Yeah, 4-time state, national, and a national wrestling champ in high school. 4-time.
Stop, dude.
That means he would have done it as a freshman.
Yeah. I mean,
All right.
It's not unheard of. Like, we've had 4-timers. There was like 2 or 3 when I was in high school, 4-time state champs. And then my brother saw another couple come through. The Palmer brothers were, I don't know if you've ever heard of Lance Palmer, but his little brother, Colin. They were multiple time state champions, real tough wrestlers. It's kind of what we do here.
Yeah, look, we got OSU, and that's our Oklahoma's only claim to wrestling fame is OSU.
Hey, Oklahoma State, the Cowboys have the most NCAA titles of any collegiate program, I think.
What's their coach's name? John Smith?
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Stud in his day.
Yeah.
Let me ask you the last thing here. What is your thoughts on Luke Rockhold allegedly calling out Anderson Silva?
Luke is how old? He's like 35, 36?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
And I'm going to call Anderson 50.
Anderson's 97 years old.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that Luke is looking for it's just something to get the ball rolling again. That's what it seems like to me. I can't say for sure, but if I were him, I mean, maybe he senses that he's coming to the end of his road or whatever. But Luke, he should just retire. Like a lot of times, I have the same thing to say about all these guys. It's like, what do you got to prove, man? Luke won the title, so I mean, at one point, you were the baddest man on the planet. Yep. What more is there to say? You know.
And you're strikingly handsome.
He is ridiculously good looking.
Yeah, he's a Tom Ford model. He's a Tom Ford model. Go off and do that.
Yeah, much easier.
Extremely good looking. Listen, I'm gonna back up with what you're saying. What I think Luke Rockhold's doing is he has an itch to compete. He knows he'll never, his division, like you said earlier before we went live, his division's too stacked to come back and jump in with wolves. Okay.
Yeah. That division.
What he needs to do, him, and in my opinion, it's a video I put up earlier. I think he went to his team and said, I got this to compete, but I want to go out on a W. Who is someone in my division with a name that I can get an easy win over? And his team and him sat around and thought, Anderson Silva. The dude's 50. No. His prime was a decade ago. Go in there, stroke out Anderson Silva, finish your resume with that, and then go be beautiful on camera somewhere.
I mean, so I would agree with most of what his team probably said about Anderson Silva, except that he's still Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
And if you think you're going to just waltz in the cage with the spider goat, like, and get a W that's easy, I would be cautious. Like, he's an old snake has no less venom. That's all I would say. You know, like.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
He can still knock you the fuck out, Luke. So be careful.
It's so funny that you said that because in my video I posted earlier, I said, be careful, man, because Anderson knew what he was doing when he fought Israel Adesanya. He knew it was time for a 46-year-old Anderson to pass the torch to this new breed. He took that L. He went all 3 rounds with him, mind you.
Yeah.
Adesanya did not stop him. So
no, he didn't.
He's going to grab the neck. You got to watch it. So he went all 3 rounds with Adesanya. It wasn't a cakewalk. Now, Adesanya handled him just fine. Yeah. And it's like Anderson went in there. He knew he was going in to lose, and he went in graciously and fought. But I want to remind you, he fought Daniel Cormier on a day's notice?
Yeah, something like that.
Hey, somebody forgot to tell Anderson in the back you're supposed to lose.
Yeah.
Do you remember that body shot he hit Cormier with in that fight and almost turned that fight around?
It's like dude, like I said, he's still Anderson Silva. I mean, that would be like, it's like when people think because black belts start to get older that they can out-grapple them somehow. One of the head instructors at the school that I teach at is like in his late 50s. His name's Tony Zara, I believe. I mean, he's a tall dude. He's a good sized guy, but he's an older gentleman. Not on my best day can I touch him. Like, there's something about old fighters. They're still dangerous, you know?
They're crafty.
Yep.
Everything you're going to try to put on them, they've seen it. They've been through it. They've lived through it, and they beat it. Let alone just seeing it, you know? That's my thing, too, man. That was my only warning I had for Luke Rockhold is just be careful, man, because you know what happens if you jump in the spider's web.
Yeah. You catch that front kick to the face. Ask Vitor.
Yeah, you're going to be another highlight reel. If he comes in and he fights smart and he tries to grapple him and control him that way, because Luke Rockhold can grapple. You know, it's a possibility, but, you know, Anderson is a black belt. Anderson has pulled off submissions in his fighting career. And like you said, man, I think Anderson's a little bit slower than he used to be. I don't think he has the speed. I don't think he can take the punishment that he used to be able to take as well.
Yeah.
But Adesanya did not knock him out. Daniel Cormier did not knock him out. I don't see Luke Rockhold able to do it if those two boys can't do it. That being said, I don't know, man, Luke, I would really, really think of this hand before you try it because you're going to go out with another loss. There's a good possibility that you're not as beautiful as you are when you walk into the ring as you walk out. My opinion, the dude should continue to surf, work on his tan, and model for Ford.
For real. I don't know why you would choose to – I don't know. I don't have the opportunity to be a model, so I can't say one way or the other. Maybe modeling just doesn't do it for him.
I wish I had the opportunity to be a model, but he needs to hear this loud and clear. Father Time will touch those good looks.
Yeah.
And eventually they're going away. Make some money doing that. You know what I mean?
And it's not hard on your body, you know. You're not getting punched in the head. You're not absorbing brain damage or breaking your joints down horribly, you know.
Who did Rockhold fight last? A legend had the broken jaw. Who was his last?
It wasn't Yoel, was it? No. Or was
Maybe it was Yoel. Was it Yoel?
Was it Yoel? Did Yoel break his jaw? I don't remember.
Again, it could have ended your modeling career right then. You're lucky Dana White had deep pockets and willing to pay a plastic surgeon.
Yeah.
Like, I just think it's a bad idea, man. But, hey, I've kept you a little over that 30-minute mark that I wanted to keep you. I think
good.
You're gonna have to grapple your youngest son in a minute.
That's okay. He
So
can't pass guard. So.
How old is he?
He's 5.
5, okay. I've got a 4-year-old myself. Does he grapple at all right now? Are you putting him in?
No, he says he wants to wrestle when he gets older, though.
Okay.
When I get older, I'm going to go to my own house with Dad.
That's awesome. That sounds like a good plan.
And me and Dad can play with each other.
Man, that's a cool story, dude.
All right, buddy.
That's pretty heartwarming, though. Just a boy wanting to hang out with his dad.
I'm free. I got all the time in the world, man.
There you go, man. There you go. Well, hey, thanks for making some of that time for us today.
Thanks for having
giving us some of that time, man. We appreciate you. 2 things I'm going to do. I'm going to follow up. I'm going to send you on Instagram in a minute. I'm going to send you a picture of the new, well, not new, I guess, revitalized Vitor Belfort. And then I'll send you a video of your boy, your Ohio native there, wrestling.
All right.
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
And hey, while we're all stuck in this quarantine, we're stuck home. Let's try to do this again.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, tell us about your podcast. Where can we get it? Tell us how often you're dropping them these days.
Well, lately in quarantine, I haven't been dropping them as much as I should be, but I did release an episode last week. They're available on iTunes and anywhere you can get your podcasts. It's called The Handsome Savage. Under regular circumstances, I do them 5 days a week.
Yep. And you do them on the way to work, right?
Usually, yeah. So it's from a car.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, we enjoy it. Are you still doing the other podcast with your buds?
Yeah, that one's a little harder because we're all in different time zones, and one of us is still active duty military, and he's deploying.
So it is tough.
Yeah, but we try to get him out when we can.
Well, Either way, man, if you're on it, it's entertaining. We appreciate your time, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. Thanks
You
for
and your
having
boy go grapple.
us. Yeah.
See you later, guys.
We'll see you later.
Bye, buddy.